Hello, welcome to the Light Language channel. My name's Charlie. I'm an Akashic Record reader, multidimensional channeler, medium, neurodivergent millennial. Is that enough labels? Does that work? Okay, cool. Um, I really just kind of want to talk about mediumship today and specifically how I do it because my brain structure is different than anyone else I've seen on YouTube, to be fair. I don't know of any other channelers that have dissociative identity disorder. Um, I went through a big full integration event during the near death experience. Well, I died last year. We all died last year. And when I came back, I could do things like speak in light language. And I started down the spiritual, like, wait, what happened? I need to understand all of this because prior to that, it was monotheistic religions. And I know some Eastern philosophy. That is basically it. Um, but how I do mediumship is a little bit, um, well, it's not a little bit, it's embodied. I do embodied channeling through mediumship doors, basically. And it's it's kind of complex to do, and there's very specific and bolstered reasons why I do it using puppets. And I kind of wanted to just show you, like, I wanted to talk about it. Here's what this is. If you're like, well, what are you talking about? I have a channel. It's called Zuzu and Proxy and Charlie and Guest. I'll put it in the description, where I do mediumship with my puppet friends, because those puppet friends are former internal family members who provide a bolstering presence for me. I then allow through whoever it is that has a message, because it has to be a message in song, and and that's it. It's just a show for whoever it is that wants a show about mediumship and channeling and with puppets. Who knows why we do any of the things we do, right? I don't know. I'm just trying something. But I want, so here's what I'm going to talk about it, and then I'm going to do one. You're going to see me like and talk to my other camera, and then I'll come back and I'll explain what happened and probably have whoever it is on the line still on the line, possibly still. It's funny because I've got all my guides with me, and I can feel negotiations happening right now. There's all of this involves Akashic contracts, the kinds of contracts that we have with one another. We don't necessarily consciously know about it. We don't tend to pay attention to those kinds of things because we're a little busy with life, right? But you have got contracts all over the place, just like going and going and going, right? Um, you just do. We renegotiate a lot of them during sleep, actually, because when you sleep, your conscious awareness kind of goes to the other side. We go across the veil. We go into other realms. Um, and part of why you remember things when you wake up is because you remember the interpretation of what you experienced there. Um, and yeah, I can see the orbs like going everywhere. I keep saying like, no, it's just dust, but honestly, some of them are moving around in ways that I'm like, no, no, those are just spirit. Cool. Um, so the reason I use puppets to channel is because when you are providing a level of embodied channeling, you are letting someone else's templated spirit from the other side embody in you. Those who channel other entities, they do the same thing. They are allowing full embodiment. Now, whether or not they allow their entire chakra system to come online for that, it varies. And you can tell based on just how much, you can tell based on how much of someone's full body is being used. What I see most of the time is it's crown to throat chakra, maybe a little bit of heart chakra involved, but it very rarely goes all the way to that root, right? Because to go to root chakra would mean full eyes open, walking around, doing a bunch of things like uh, Jeffrey Hoppy, who channels Adamas. That's a full body thing. Like there's like he clearly has another, like he's got a space inside of his head for Adamas, basically. Um, I've never talked to him and like had that conversation, like, so how do you feel about having an internal headquarters for Adamas? But you, in order for that to happen, you need to basically do an Akashic level contract to create an altar space for that to exist. And that kind of way of existing Put it this way, it is much easier if you have a brain type like mine, where it already does have these multiple headquarters. I talk in terms of inside out because it just makes the most sense. Instead of one headquarters, I got multiple headquarters, right? Integration is the process of taking those offline and then, you know, recycling them down and reorganizing things in the brain and the body. Um, but because I went through a mass extinction, like within the span of 1 week, they all just were gone. I had empty headquarter spaces, and those have since been uh, alter formation can continue happening well into adulthood, and I've been through enough trauma that it kind of ish did, but I also have these spaces open for the purposes of channeling and for the purposes of embodied channeling. Now, that gets really complicated and can lead to a new altar formation, which means someone who would share a life with you, who would front with you, who would have their lived experience and perspective. They have a new Akashic record created for themselves. Like, it's a full thing. I've had that cut off. And I know that seems like a very big, like, you know, how do you do that? I had a lot of help. I had a lot of freaking help. Gaia has been one of the biggest, most helpful entities in this whole process for me. Also, have had help from Gabriel, less helpful in my opinion. No offense to the archangels, but they just don't seem to quite understand the whole being a human right now thing. I'm sorry, you don't, okay? They're just they're just they have ideas, and they're a lot like the galactics. Archangels and galactics have a lot in common. Very high vibration. They don't seem to really understand trauma. Like, yeah, they have empathy for it, but no, not really. Like they have, because the things that they say are very high vibration. It just, look, can we talk for a second? Just archangels and galactics, they talk just like people who live in a privilege bubble talk, okay? Where they say shit and you're just like, yeah, I hear you. Helpful, sure. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. They live in a privilege bubble of high vibrational energy. So that's why I like talking to Gaia. Gaia understands. Gaia's got it all. So anyway, okay, I'm getting off topic, but um I don't want new altars forming, especially one, because it is harder to navigate anything in life when there's more than just you, and it's hard to keep resonance and coherence and homeostasis with more than one. And I've already been through the integration process fully, and it's still, I say fully, it's still a process. It actually takes years, literal years, for the full integration of mind body stuff to sort of change over. And it's been very hard and very complicated, and it fucks with your life trajectory to have multiple individuals in here because it's constantly shifting and, like, where are we going now? Where are we going? Like, so I'm not doing that anymore. I went through hell. I'm not doing it again. Um, so I've had to set up levels of Akashic contracts from this side, which is really complicated to do because most of the time these bigger life contracts happen before you come in. Or if you do have a near-death experience like I did, you rewrite a number of them, but you're doing it from the other side because you're much more able to. And yes, we do write things in our sleep, but without your conscious human awareness and consent, that's it's an integral part to it. You can create anything in the other realms, but if you are not consciously aware, it doesn't necessarily translate, and it doesn't necessarily impact things the way that you would, the way that would be idealized, right? Because we are constantly doing things that are not in our best interest. And we get mad at our own higher selves, and it's like we make the choices on the other side, and then we wake up and we're like, oh, I hate that my guides blah 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 blah. And it's like, honey, it was you. You're the one who told yourself to do this. It's just coming through in other guides. um and I'm going all over the place again, but um when you do embodied channeling, which is, like, Lee Harris comes to mind, right? He channels the Z's. When he gets into an embodied channel state, he holds a crystal, he closes his eyes, he takes some time. There seems to be music involved. I've never met or talked to the person, but I've watched a number of his things. Yeah, he did a live 2026 update on the winter solstice. I watched that, and in between there was music. There was that bridge to get in, right? Because bridges are really important both for getting in and getting back out of channel state, because you're sort of opening up a fractal of your brain and body to just be in flow state, and be in flow state where you are not the conscious person who is driving your own vocal cords, right? It's a big process, and it involves a lot of physicality, and it involves a lot of attuning, a lot of training. Really, every time a channeler embodied channels, they're basically running a race. I could say a marathon. It kind of depends on what it is. I would imagine that the in-person events are basically marathons, because then you're having to channel not only Z's, and it's Z's plus collective in general, but when you are in your own space versus when you are on a stage with like thousands of people, yeah, it's very different. It's a very different energy, um, mm, as to what you're channeling. But um, that's why it takes years often. And when you start to tune in, especially if this is new and we have all of these examples of people who've been doing it for 20 years, I've seen it a lot and I've experienced it myself. There's very much this sense of, oh, because I can tune in now, clearly I need to be like them. And clearly I need to be like them like now. No, no, actually. Just because again, the brain and body connections that you need to develop take time. Mentally, they don't. Mentally, you've changed your mind about whatever it is, and it happens pretty quickly. Like belief systems can break down fairly fast. But your capacity to hold that resonance, your capacity to stay in flow state, and your capacity to hold on to you and not allow for whatever entity it is to create their own internal headquarters. Well, that's kind of what I want to talk about today, because more of y'all have internal headquarters than you realize. I'm not saying it's necessarily full blown dissociative identity disorder, but I do think that more people have dissociative brain states than they understand. Because if you have experienced early childhood trauma, if you are an intelligent person, and if your brain is any level of neurodivergence, guess what you have the brain structure for? Especially an autism brain type. Especially, and this is true for, I think that most women that I've ever met who have ADHD have an autism ADHD brain type. Because I think that for men, actually, it is a little bit more segmented. It's kind of and that's not a universal truth. It's just more of what I've seen. It is sort of one or other. But if you came in with a body that has ovaries and, you know, that whole situation, you likely came in with a brain type that has more circuitry capacity in the can hold both way. So if you have ADHD and you identify as a woman, you probably also have autism. Like I'm just putting it out there. Like that's it probably, like you probably. And if you had early childhood trauma, you likely have dissociative states. You likely have more than one internal headquarters. If you've come online with your spiritual gifts and it's been easier for you than maybe other people in your class, probably also the case too. And so I'm kind of expressing this and saying this to you because you found it. Good job following the breadcrumbs. I'm talking to you, and I'm talking to you to tell you that you might have another, no, not might have, you have another internal headquarters inside of you, and you do want to also be setting up parameters around who it is you're channeling and how you're channeling, or you could create an altar. You could create another part, and that's deeply complicated to navigate if you have not spent years learning about dissociative identity disorder, learning about what that means, learning about how to communicate internally, having functional multiplicity conversations, knowing how to do group therapy within yourself. And it's very, very complicated, and it's very, I don't want to be like a warning. I just want to be like this is what I do. So I did not start doing embodied mediumship on screens until very recently. And I did not start doing mediumship at all until I got my internal family back online. And it took over a year for me to do that, from when they left to when I could get back in. I used the Akashic Records and my, relearning of what that was to to just keep tapping in and keep tapping in, and get to a point where I could actually talk to them, because I needed them to be in charge, basically, sort of back in their old internal headquarters for the time that I'm doing mediumship. And even now, the embodied mediumship that I do with any human who has passed over, it's short. It's a short duration thing, and they use jukebox mode, which is something I'd spent the year working on, where channeling was done through music, because music kind of can exist in its own flow state inside of you. It does not require setting up inside of a headquarters in order for information to come out. It's sort of like it's sort of like I have a little Wurlitzer set up in my brain, and when I do embodied mediumship, that information is being funneled through the Wurlitzer instead of through a headquarters. Does that make sense? Yeah, more or less. Um, And I'm explaining all of this to you because if it resonates, then honestly, just the act of knowing about this, awareness about it, is kind of enough to help you set up your own, have your own conversations about it internally with your guides, with yourself, writing it down. Because you very much need to be in conversation with your body. And I mean your body as its own entity. And you can do that. I think that writing is one of the easiest ways to get that process started, because if you talk to your body and allow for some of the automatic writing to come out from the perspective of body, I mean, fake it at first, like do it as just an imagination exercise. If you're not doing like pretend play with this kind of stuff, you need to be. Like, it's getting into kid mode, getting into how do I play in this is essential. And how you play in this is you pretend. It feels like pretending until you shock yourself and you're like, what? Oh, that was my body. Oh, my body just talked back. Oh my God. And yeah, because you're translating what it is your body is saying as a collective, we are all of the systems of things that are working inside of this, vessel to keep you running. um, you need to be having a conversation with that body on a daily basis. The easiest way to get that done is with somatic experiencing exercises. Like, Google it. Go to a therapist. Seriously. Also, if you have early childhood trauma and you haven't been to therapy in a while and you're going through a spiritual awakening, find a therapist who does somatic experiencing. Seriously. Because having just a place, even once a week, because I mean, come on, if you have ADHD, are you really going to do it every day? It's okay. There's a reason you have your brain type. It's completely okay. And you're not a do this, you're not a do the ritual everyday person, because you don't need to be. Like, you don't. Some people need that. You don't necessarily need that, but what you do need is an accountability partner. So fucking get a therapist. Therapist who specializes in somatic experiencing. You don't have to talk about anything you don't want to talk about. Literally just go in and say, hi, I'm going through a spiritual awakening. I want to get in touch with my body because I feel disconnected and dissociated from it. Can we please just spend every week doing somatic experiencing things so that I at least fucking do it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what you're paying for. Okay. You don't have to talk. It doesn't fucking matter. Literally just tell them, I just want a place to actually do deep breathing and try different exercises and let myself cry in front of another person. And you don't need to know any particular reason why. Yeah, that's fine. Um, so you cool? You okay? I'm sorry. I do sometimes get a little animated, but like, fucking go to the therapist. I cannot stand that people in the spiritual community are like separate from the world of therapy. Like, fuck off. And seriously, if you think that working with clients is what you want to do and you've never been in a therapist's office, the fuck are you doing? You need to at least understand what it is to like experience active listening. Minimum. Bare minimum. You need to have at least spent, no, you don't get to see clients. No, I'm sorry. This is an ethics violation. Ethics violation. If you have not even spent a year in therapy, you shouldn't be talking to clients. You don't know how to talk to people. You don't. You need to talk, you need to at least be in the room with someone who got licensed to talk to people and hold space for people. Like, yeah, you might have learned how to hold space and feel I'm pissing someone off. I don't care. If you haven't learned how to hold space for people in a way that is therapy, not doctor, because that's a very short and very like kind of energy. Like we all know how doctors were trained. We all know how doctors were trained, okay? It's different for therapy. It's different for mental health. You have to understand how to hold space for people for long durations of time where you're not the expert. And yeah, some therapists act like the experts, but that's an ethics violation. But they are professional space holders and professional shadow holders who just have more experience and more training than anybody that I've taken. Like, I've taken a lot of spirituality, like courses and classes and stuff. I have a lot of problems with a lot of the spiritual community. Like, I truly do think that people who are working with clients need at least bare minimum just training on active listening and training in a way that holds space. I'm not saying you need to be a therapist because that's like a whole regimented, institutionalized like thing. No, but there are things that we know already as humans, and it kind of feels sometimes like we're trying to reinvent what it means to help people without truly understanding the depth and breadth of experiences. And I just say that because most of the trainings that I've gotten have been, I found my way of doing this, and now I'm making a school so that everyone does it my way. It's helpful to learn from, not great for dogma followers. Just saying. We've gotten way off topic here. Is this really a relevant thing? Because I was going to show people, keep going with, okay. I recognize the, I don't know, hypocritical nature of being like, don't just listen to people who say this is how I do it, and then I'm going to show you how I do something. But I'm not showing you this to teach you or to even say, hey, don't do this. I'm kind of just doing it for awareness building. I'm doing it so that you know that this is a thing. And yes, I have accused you of having other headquarters inside your head. I just truly do see that. I see it in other people who have no idea that that's what's going on. And kind of like anything else in spirituality, in being able to pull information, one, I question everything I get as to whether or not it's true. With this, it feels much more true because I have no actual way of knowing who's watching this. I just get the information I get and I check in before I say something. I'm like, oh God, is this really okay? I'm going to say it. Because it does feel true. This is my Akashic record container, and I'm kind of tuning in to at least the first wave of folks who are watching it. After the first wave, it's not where I tune into. So, oh. um, and I'm showing you just so that you can see what it is that someone with my brain type does to keep myself safe. Because spiritual teachers don't really talk about keeping yourself safe. They talk about rituals that you can do, and they talk about, um, they talk about bridges in kind of, they talk about bridges out. But again, a little part of why I talk about the need for understanding therapy. Um, Sorry, Mabel loves to chew on her crate, make noise. Um, but one of the reasons I talk about needing to understand that space and that room is really because you also need to know how to disengage on your heart line. Because if you're a person who is a healer, you're a person who exists in the world with this purpose to serve and to help. And what comes with helping people is kind of still keeping your heart open to them even after you turn off the camera, even after you're done with that session. And that's not healthy. Sorry, hold one moment, please. Sorry. Um, but I've been in, um, I'm not a licensed therapist, but I have been trained in counseling. Um, I've been trained in it to do hotline work. I've been trained in it in the master's programs that I've been in. I just didn't ever go the route of getting licensed in therapy, mainly because I couldn't afford to. Uh, and it just was never, it was just never, it was, as with many things, you sort of question, why didn't I go down this route, even though I really wanted to? For me, it's because I wanted other things. I got national board certified as a health and wellness coach, which actually does utilize a lot of counseling skills. Um, and a big skill with a lot of that training is self care and how to be there and be open for someone, and then how to disengage when you need to, how to put it down. I haven't learned that, or I haven't needed for myself to learn that in spiritual spaces and spiritual schools. It's not something I see taught, nor is trauma. And that's a problem because you're seeing people who are experiencing a lot of trauma. And when you yourself have experienced a lot of trauma and you're in someone's Akashic records, their deepest wounds you can pick up on them. It's like a little bell inside of you. It kind of attracts, magnetizes it. And just because it doesn't come through in that session doesn't mean it doesn't trigger something for you later. And it's really important that you not have open headquarters in your head that you don't know about when you're tuning into all of this stuff, because you can leave that session and you're taking all of their shit with you. And no amount of mental ritual can really impact if it's hit you on a body level. So Mabel. Right. She's protesting being in the crate, so I'm letting her out. See how long this goes. Um, really searching for like something uplifting here because I do want to show you um, an episode and doing stuff, but I've got really low energy right now, so I just want to take a minute. We're gonna do a little meditation, please. You don't mind just taking a nice deep breath. Reorient yourself, however you've been sitting. Roll those shoulders and just sort of sit up straight for a minute. Keep breathing. Stretch out your neck. Okay. All right, come on back. Okay. I really, really don't say any of this to cause any sort of fear because, again, it's not, this is awareness building. This is one of those take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and just take it as maybe you're hearing this because you need to explain it to someone later because you do end up with a client that might have a dissociative disorder that they had no idea they had. And it can get really complicated. And I don't necessarily think that will come through in anyone's Akashic record. You're not going to get diagnosed getting an Akashic record reading, but more people are more fractaled than we talk about. And especially right now, as more people are coming, their awareness is coming online, they're awakening to things. More people are going to be awakening to the fact that they are sharing their life and they might be coming to you, and you need to know how to talk to them. You need to know how to hold space for them. Therapists already can't, not many of them. Um, And I don't necessarily mean know the exact terminology and make sure you always say it right and don't offend. No, you're gonna offend people, whatever. It happens. Like it does. There's too many terms, there's too much verbiage, there's too many there's too many things. Just listen to the person and reflect back what you hear them say. That's all you gotta do. Like that's it. Just stay open to what they're saying, actively listen and use the terms they use. Pretty straightforward. And for yourself, when you feel this opening and these new gifts coming online, playing with them is the safest thing to do. I play with my mediumship because it's safe. It's safer. It's not perfect. And there's definitely been, moments where I channel something and I have to be like, whoa. It's why I stopped taking any THC, at least for now, because I have too many things that are coming online at the same time, and THC opens you a little too much. It goes, I mean, it does an incredible job of kind of bulldozing and, and doing the big construction work. But at a point, you don't need a bulldozer anymore, right? At a point, you need the refinement. At a point, you need the final touches. You need the okay, this space is now ready for my artistry, for me making it its final thing. You don't need the heavy equipment anymore. But play allows for things to stay elevated. It allows for things to stay in flow state much easier, and it kind of builds the circuitry for okay, you can come and you can embody through what I'm doing, but I have parameters around this. I have boundaries around this. I have ways in which I will stay safe because, yeah, I don't want anybody sticking around after I'm done with anything. Not with a client, not with a show, not with anything. Because I've spent an entire lifetime walking around with other people's shit stuck to me, as have you. So doing this requires a level of boundary setting that is kind of similar to setting up uh I mean it's setting up a business, it's establishing a new relationship. I mean, once you turn on something like mediumship, you can't exactly just walk away from it. I mean, you can kind of close up shop and just say I'm done, but the pathways created are the pathways created. It's going to keep coming. It's going to keep expanding. You're going to keep growing into it. So, kind of important for you to set it up with strong foundations. And my strong foundation is with support. It's me, it's Scout, it's Kristen. I have a triad of who is kind of holding space. And then that fourth, we are all part of the mediumship moment that occurs. It's not just me and one. And to be fair, you have guides when you're doing this, so it's not entirely just you, but I know how to co-front. I have the brain and body circuitry set up for that because it's what functional multiplicity kind of ultimately is. Multiples of us, only one of us was ever in the driver's seat, but multiples of us were sharing those moments throughout our day all the time. And so I have that set up. That circuitry is already there. Those highways are already there to keep my mind and body homeostatic and functional. And truly to take in and provide access to another entity at all is to shift your energetics substantially. It's it can be akin to jumping into an ice bath. I mean, really, it can be that level of a shock to your system. You don't necessarily feel it though, because it just sort of happens, and then you have to integrate everything that kind of got shaken up along the way. So, all right, so I'm feeling, all right. So this is how it starts when I'm about to record something. I get this sort of internal, hey, Can we record something? I call them an internal email because it's kind of how it feels. Like I always have my email up on a screen when I'm sort of here. And this is sort of my work zone, and mediumship and channeling is my work now too. So I'm sort of in office hours. I also had to establish that. That's a hard one because when it's new, you kind of want to just do it all the time. You have to establish like boundaries around that, but that's a learned thing. You have to fuck that part up. You're not gonna, like, you can, sure, you can say 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is the only time I'm gonna be open for channeling. Okay, you can say that. That might not be what you can actually do, especially if you have an ADHD brain type. Congrats, babe. Part of the reason why you have that brain type is because you're more in the moment and the spontaneity is a benefit. So that's more of a like, just accept that this is your life now, and try to maintain the boundaries that you can when you can, right? It's a different conversation. But I got a little internal thing, and so I go, okay, yes, would like to provide a message with the puppets because I do specify I have this channel, I have that channel, I write. There's any number of ways that some of these messages can come out, and I say okay, and I usually like to just ask for a name. May I have a name? Nancy. Okay. Nancy's coming in. I give my body a minute and I just kind of check in and go, everybody good? And I do a full body scan. I start here and I just go, I just imagine, just all the way down, just checking for any resistance, checking for anything that wants to say, no, thank you. And okay. It's part of why the light language is helpful too. Because once you start talking to your body can start talking back with your hand. You're going to hear my dogs. They're going to go a little wild because the energy just started going. Then I take my stack of journals that I have. I write a lot. I have a journal. It's a different journal for everything. I put them right here on my desk. Take my little dude. Put my phone in it because I use my phone for these channels. Because you see this camera. This camera sucks. Plus the microphone on here is better, right? Oh, that's too high. Well, that's a good camera angle, right? From above. All right, that works. You know what? That works. Okay. And then anything specific? I tune in. I tune in just a little bit, see if there's anything specific. Dogs. Y'all gonna be cool? I consider whether or not to put my dogs away. I often don't. And then I just let it go. And you're gonna watch this happen, and I don't know, skip forward if you don't want to watch it. The audio's gonna be bad, but here we go. All right, I'll be back when I'm done. Nope. No, thank you. No, thank you. Right. Right. Oh, okay. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Zuzu and I'm Paroxy and I'm Charlie. And today we've got Nancy on the line. Yay! We've got Nancy. We love Nancy. Oh, do we know Nancy? Well, you don't know Nancy, but we do. Yeah, we've known Nancy for a long time. She's a past life. Wait, a past life of mine? No, she's a friend from a past life, but she had this lifetime and now she's back. Well, she came back and then she left, and now she's back because she has a special message I heard from for her grandchildren. Okay. All right, Nancy. I, I, I simply want to say hi, baby, hi, babies. I simply wanted to know if my dog is okay. I mean, I know she's okay. I just wanted to say thank you for loving her like I did. She is a good girl. I know she sometimes goes in the house. I'm sorry, we never quite got that part right because I liked it when she just stayed inside with me because everything in my body hurt sometimes. Sorry that she's kind of bad at being a dog inside. I know you love her though. You could give it another try with the potty training. I think she could probably learn it. But until that happens, please know I always put her in the bathroom. Okay? Yeah? And I just want you to know that her favorite thing was carrots. She loved the carrots. Please give her more of them, and whatever it is you need, just know I can answer this internal phone. Just call and I will be there in a bark. Thank you, Mabel. What she couldn't get through, there was a word, puppy pads. Yeah, yeah. For some reason that was like a mistranslation. She couldn't quite get the word puppy pads out. But she's grateful that you took in her babies. She just wanted to say thank you, and she wanted to apologize for not having a better trained dog. Yeah, but Nancy is really fun. Yeah, we really like having Nancy on our side now. Yeah, yeah. And she wants you to know everything is happy. Oh, okay. Everything is happy. Oh, Nancy, are you one of the Boca people? You know, the Earth realms have a variety of things that they can experience, and yeah, Boca. There's kind of a Boca. They like to drink all day. Really? Yeah, they drink a lot in heaven. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Okay. Well, so it's a lot more like the good place than we realize. Yeah, Mike sure kind of nailed it. That's cool. Okay. Well, all right. Well, thank you, Nancy. Is there anything more you'd like to say? Just wanted to say thank you for the dogs. That's all she wanted. Thank you for the dog. So it was more than one dog. No, it was one dog, but they took in a dog. She's thankful for dogs in general. She's thankful for dogs in general. Sorry, just checking in for one last minute. Wanted them to understand how much it meant that they didn't send her to a shelter. They didn't want they okay. They didn't want to deal with the multiple dog household situation where a dog is constantly going to the bathroom inside. Well, respect to the family members that took that dog in. That one can be retrained. Yeah, not so hard. Take time. Nancy wants you to sell her jewelry to pay for dog lessons. Okay, well, that was sweet. Thank you, Nancy. I really appreciate that. Thank you all so much for watching, and thanks for taking in the loved ones that get left behind. So, thank you. Bye. Proxy says bye too. Oh, okay. So, one, I get in my own head, and that shuts down channel state. That's kind of what you saw happening a little bit. This is fairly new for me as a thing to do. Um, it just is. I started this show because I got the puppet and I was felt inspired to just start doing stuff, and then songs started coming out because I've been really creating this channeled mode because song is just it's a full body channel experience, but it really is inherently high vibration. So it's just easy. It makes well, maybe it isn't easy, but it allows for things to sort of flow through. And when letting Nancy kind of disentangle and disengage right now, because where I feel it is right here. So a headquarters that's basically right here, and different with DID, different brain regions light up depending on who it is that's fronting. Like this has been studied. You can look it up. You can see brain scans of people when they have switched, and it literally is different parts of the brain that light up, which makes complete sense because in order for homeostatic things to be happening, different parts of brain and body light up depending on who it is that's their headquarters is active, right? Active and the one who is making choices for the life, right? The shared life. Um, and so this is where it kind of comes in. Is that all the time? Correct. For this mediumship process, you use Leonard. Thought he was front. Prefrontal cortex for Leonard was and remains, but not for the mediumship. Okay, cool. Oh, interesting. So we fractaled. Huh. Okay. I took what Leonard was, like his headquarters, and basically went boop, so that I could hold on to the prefrontal cortex portion, which is very important. Leonard was our main like get shit doneer, pretty much. And you know, yeah, those of you with executive function issues, you understand what a loss like that would be. So had to keep that like pretty strong. Um, so interesting. It kind of makes sense too, because Leonard's functions really were predominantly short term. He did not ever front for very long. That explains the timing thing too, among other things. Okay, well, so that is, oh, sorry. So that is more or less the functionality behind it. There is a specific level of headquarters that gets activated. I go into my own back seat and I allow that to come through. Now, the reason why it got a little bit like meh is one because I'm sorry. One more time, we're just gonna pause, take a break, take some water, integrate what you just like lived through while I take care of Mabel. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Girl. The one that doesn't make noise. How about that? Put her in the crate. She makes noise in the crate that will interrupt the stuff. I have her out of the crate. There's nowhere else I can put her. So I'm so sorry. The energies, man, they get really high. All the animals go wild. But I get a little self-conscious whenever I do any mediumship yet, just because, yeah, I have no proof that it's legit. I have no proof whatsoever. I just do it because it's what comes through, and it definitely does feel very engaging. It feels kind of like a character. I had a cat come through like a couple weeks ago, and that was funny. I really like it was just a full embodied cat, and the attitude that this little guy had. It all came through. Um, and I genuinely do believe that these are folks that are coming through with messages. They're often very, very specific. And it's because of that that I'm like, yeah, there's an entire likelihood that I'm making all of this up. Yeah, yeah. And so that anxiety, it comes through, and it kind of came through for that for a couple of reasons. One, it seemed like it was just kind of done pretty fast, and I felt weird about it, but also because I'm doing this, that kind of added to it a little bit. I obviously don't usually have two cameras going at the same time, two different channels happening at the same time, right? Like it was just a little bit too much. There were too many quantum entanglements happening that I'm not used to. So mm, that kind of interfered a little bit. And um, the content, right? She was talking about her dog and being grateful to her grandchildren for taking the dog in after she passed, even though she never really house trained the dog particularly well. Did use puppy pads, so it was a little bit house trained, but not well. I got a little Pomeranian too. I didn't say it, but that was what the like feeling was. I was like, it's a little Pomeranian, isn't it? It's just a little dog, a little like not particularly well trained companion for who Nancy was. Um, and because there also felt like there was like family conflict in there too, like all of those things were just sort of competing as like things that were pinging in my body, right? And so as those sort of started happening, it's almost like someone comes in and they're using my chakras kind of down to heart level. And then my anxieties are kind of coming up from the bottom and they're sort of pushing the flow state out, right? And they're kind of interfering and they're kind of interrupting. Um, Again, the feeling like you're making it up is pretty big. It gets you out of flow state really fast. Um, that's hard, and that just comes with time. It comes with time and with talking to people and like just doing it. Like, you know, this is me documenting my process, and my process is fairly new. So I look forward to being 10 years from now and like fucking confident in everything that I say. That will be so nice. Won't that be nice for you too? Won't you be so excited to actually feel confident in anything that you're doing? So there's that. And then while the information is coming through, I truly can feel that there's almost a level of, um, I'm translating the information, but in those states, I'm not. I'm allowing for that entity to use me. That's embodied channeling. It's different than doing an Akashic record reading, where I'm getting the information and I'm then trying to take what I get as visuals and auditory and trying to provide, right? That's me translating, trying to pull out the right words myself based on what I'm getting. One, to try to describe things, but even describing things involves a level of translation. Um, and those things are already getting translated to me first, and then I'm translating it out. With embodied channeling, that was Nancy. That was Nancy using my voice uh, while I got into the back seat and let her drive me. Yeah. Um, they only get to drive me in singing mode. If they have the puppets as part of it, that seems to kind of override that a little bit because words can come out. That's part of why I have them though, because if they start talking, they'll shut it down. Scout will, Kristen will, the rest of my guides, they'll shut it down. Because when I'm doing that, Scout and Kristen both also inhabit their internal headquarters at the same time. It really is sort of a they don't exist on a full-time basis in here, but when I open those channels up, and I've attuned to this, I've made it, I've practiced with this, I've made it a highway. It's almost like think Star Trek, right? It's almost like they come on in, they appear in their headquarters. They're kind of see through, right? They're not fully there. They are temporarily re-embodying the host that they left. They are on the other side. They no longer exist in here. Their Akashic has ended for the lived human experience. But anytime someone leaves, especially, well, yeah, I'm on the ascended master path, so anyone who leaves, but especially on that path, yeah, they just re-embody. Like they're you can pull in anyone from the other side. It doesn't have to be an ascended master. It doesn't have to be Yeshua. It doesn't have to be Gaia. Like you can literally channel anybody in. They can like we don't need the big names, right? Like I trust Scout and Kristen more than I trust Gaia, and I trust Gaia because she fucking got me back here. But still, seriously, I do because they shared this body, so they know the circuitry. They know where the words are. They know how to make sure that everything is navigated without triggering things. So they hold the space and kind of hold the energetic container that allows for any other entity that we collectively allow in based on Akashic contracts that, yeah, I've made, but I don't pay any attention to. Like, at this point, I've outsourced that. I'm like, y'all got me, right? And they're like, yeah, girl, we got you. I'm like, cool. Just tell me when to hit record. I'm good. And then an entity, such as Nancy on the other side, hanging out in Boca. She's not the first person I've had from Boca. That's why I'm just like, I question. Oh God, I question, y'all. I question so many things. And I also see it. It's not actual bokeh, but it's the human creation of it in a near Earth realm. Because a lot of guides, they stay in the near Earth realms in part to keep frequencies balanced to help us. And just because, some people just want to spend a little bit more time in bokeh. Seems like a great place. Other side bokeh. um, Oh, it's weird. It's so weird. And so that comes through and it hits on my skepticism and it hits on my this is weird and this isn't, this can't be true and this can't be whatever. All of that kicks me out of channel state. And I can feel the looking for in terms of, because they kind of come in and it's almost like they're at a switchboard. Um, Again, inside out reference, right? A little bit though. They're a little bit at a switchboard and they're feeding through things and trying to provide. But depending on what it was they were doing during this lifetime that they're, then other siding from, um, some things just come out a little bit easier, some not so much. And unfortunately, when my anxiety started like coming up, it took a little bit of that flow state out, and then things like puppy pads or just, she was basically trying to say like newspaper but not newspaper, because she doesn't really know how to speak Charlie, which is my singing and my embodied singing. Like that's kind of what they have to do. They have to know how to speak Charlie. And that's where it's kind of interesting and kind of curious, because that is what I do see in other channeled beings when they come through individuals in an embodied channeled way. They are basically playing, like the Z's are playing the Lee Harris. Adamus is playing the Jeffrey Hoppy, like really and truly. Like they get into an embodied channel state. It comes through. Raphael plays the Kelly Klodney. Like kinda, yeah, yeah. That's where the bridge is. That's why the need for bridging in, bridging out. Um, and yeah, to open yourself up to being available for anybody to pop on in. It's I kind of really like it because at this moment I am full of this giddy energy, which she clearly has. Like this is a lady, like Nancy's still just kind of hanging out right there. And I just feel giddy because she feels like the kind of okay. Were you in like a community with older folks? Not official, didn't pay for an HOA, but we were a community. Were you like okay, I was just like, were you kind of like the little like mix? You're like, oh, I slept with everybody. Oh, Nancy. Of course you did. Of course you slept. Of course Nancy slept with everybody and had a Pomeranian who wasn't house trained. Did you smoke too? Oh, honey, yeah. Okay. Um, um, so you see, like I'm talking to her and it will come out. Okay. I got like we're simply showing you how, once you set up these connections, how easily it is for it to continue. The show's done. I put the puppets down. Nancy still used my voice. So thank you for coming. I welcome this release and shutdown. So that was me sort of establishing a shutdown protocol. And I'm going to get Gaia and everyone else in my team's help to fully shut down after each of these, um, in a way that I haven't really done. I have. I've done shutdowns after doing some of these. But as they're getting more I had Nancy just bye. But as I'm getting more of this online, so prior to now, only a couple had actually sort of stayed for a little bit after I'd done an episode. Um, and that's because I would do like an episode, then an episode, then an episode. I would kind of just, you know, like I do them in little chunks because when I'm in channel state, it's kind of easiest to just stay there for an hour, do a few things, and then put it down and completely take a break from it, as opposed to every single day do it. A little bit less of what I'm going to be doing now. Still working. Don't make promises. Okay, matter. Um, but there really is this need to both bridge and protect your way in and disconnect in a way that is embodied. If you're doing embodied channeling, you need to be able to do embodied goodbying too. And if you don't know how to do that, get more in touch with your body because body's really the one that's going to be shutting things down. Yeah, mentally you're sort of shutting things down, but you need body to be the one to shut it down fully. Because mental, like tell your body to to have the heartbeat. Tell your body to skip a beat. Tell your body to release a certain egg. Yeah. You can't do that. Like you can think it, you can do whatever, but can you actually do that? No. Body's kind of in charge of a lot of things, and when you're doing any level of channeling, you need to rely on this vessel. This vessel is what is helping you to stay in those states, and this vessel is what is knocking them out if you start getting into spots where it's a little bit not great. And yeah, you have an influence over that, but like my anxiety influenced that, but body is truly who's not in charge, but body is where those connections are forming, and it's where those connections are also needing to get cut and be done so that you can continue to live your life and not continue on with your life carrying stuff that not only is not yours, but Nancy came through in part because that soul being and my soul being shared how many lifetimes together? Only a handful. Okay, I've had thousands of lifetimes, so I've met a bunch of people in other whatevers, but um, that level of pulling in someone where there's shared past life stuff, that's where it gets sticky. That's where it gets fucking sticky, and you can end up pulling up like your own past life shit that, yeah, could be relevant, but honestly, do you really want to be pulling up thousands of past life things in the course of a week? You want to do that? I don't think you do. It's gonna like how's your life doing right now? Do you really want to start dealing with past life stuff at this moment because you're doing stuff with clients? It's a lot. It's just a lot. If you're planning on shutting your life down for 2 years so that you can work on all of your shit, then okay, yeah, that makes sense then. But most of us don't want that, and this truly has been just your PSA for is embodied channeling really what you want right now? And if yes, what else needs to happen for you to do it safely? Am I doing it safely? At this stage, but you weren't. Well, yeah. I didn't know. I had no idea. Mine has been one of those live the hard things so that you don't have to kind of lifetimes. That's one of the reasons that I'm here. It's one of the reasons that I came back. Is to be like, hi, I've experienced this bad thing and this hard thing and this really difficult way of existing and this thing that didn't work. Here, let me tell you about it so that you can hopefully navigate around it so that you know that these are icebergs, basically. Yeah. Um, because when you have an open headquarters, thanks to early childhood trauma and just your brain, and you start embodied channeling, it can it can really spin you out and you can you can just find yourself taking a lot harder routes in your continued expression of self than you otherwise would have, because you end up at least partially just keeping the channels open, and those entities can absolutely have an influence on the choices that you make, on the things that you're doing, on the perspectives that you take. um, you can feel really out of control, and you can feel really just, I want to say, like, not like yourself, but it can just add to the absolute overwhelm of shadow stuff. And maybe you do have that much to work on, but no, again, this was an awareness video. don't don't try to do it like I do it. I mean, it is fun, but uh, the way that I'm doing it now is very segmented and very specific, and with help and with an understanding of, I check in with my body before I touch any of this, including this. I don't necessarily love talking to the camera for an hour, just because I don't have any real evidence that this is something that's helpful for anybody. Again, oh, it's so easy to have imposter syndrome when you have a low subscriber count. um, but I'm just trying to be real with you about the struggles of having a spiritual awakening, trying to start a spiritually based business, and especially start a spiritually based business before you're really ready to. I started it at the beginning of 2025 because I got certified as an Akashic record reader. And yeah, we just live in a culture where you just monetize everything, right? And I had started a business as a coach, as a health and wellness coach. So, like, I kind of just thought, I truly thought it was just the next thing I needed to do. And I don't, I can see why it's been beneficial for me to do this, but I've not been successful. I've done hundreds and hundreds of readings, but they've been for trades, which I don't hate, because I kind of like a trade-based economy. It's why I put it into my fantasy book, because I'm like, yeah, trade-based economy is awesome, actually, because I give a really good reading, I get a cool like reading, I get to learn about things that other intuitives are doing, which is really fun. And I get to gain confidence in what I'm doing because of how new it is, and because everyone in my life calls me crazy and has left me because of it. So, like, yeah, yeah, like, it's been really fun, but it's also been very clear that just because I thought I was ready for clients, I mean, I wasn't, because they haven't come, not paying ones. And maybe I won't be a professional Akashic record reader as a thing. Maybe something else really is coming my way. That's kind of where I am, but I'm still just playing in these realms because they're here, and because they are things I'm just opening up to. And mediumship is something that I'm opening up to, and I'm clearly opening up to it in an embodied way. And I'm navigating how to do that with music. I'm not sure if that will be a long term. It will be for at least the next few years. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, I will continue to sing people's songs, or allow them to sing their own songs through me, I should say. That's what Zuzu and Proxy and Charlie and Guest is. We open up. It's not just me. I make us a we before I open up. And we allow someone in to use my voice and whatever they want to pull out that's within a certain parameter, kind of like, yeah, angels going into the holodeck to angels operating me like I'm a video game. Kind of. I'm a that's karaoke. Angel karaoke. Okay, that's fine. Angel karaoke. Yeah, yeah. And I don't know whoever's going to come through, and I don't know if it's something that I can do on demand. I mean, I'm an Akashic record reader, so I can like at least place a call. I know how to place a call to an individual. Whether or not they would actually want to play the Charlie, I don't know. Um, that's between you and them. I don't know. Uh, See, as I'm already talking, I'm like, I could put this on my website as as an offering. Like, hey, you want angel karaoke? What you want? What do you want? You know what? Send me an email if you're still watching and you're like, I'd really like to know what my deceased like dog or iguana or grandma. I don't know. Like, send me an email. Say, hey, can I have a video? Can I have a video that's my person's song? Could you like just tap in and say like, give me their name, like preferably for that. Like, I only use first names, but if you could give me their full name, I would appreciate that. It does make it um much more connected. It's just we all have a lot of lifetimes, and if you think that going into the Akashic records is like just super simple and like it's really not, okay? It's really not. Like it both is and it isn't. So I do need a name. I don't need other information, honestly, because I'm also curious too. If you give me a name and I let them do the karaoke thing, is it relevant? I'd love to know for science, for rainbow love science. I'd really like to know because I question my abilities. I really do. And if it's not actual mediumship, am I just a weird improver? I mean, I've taken improv classes, so like probably whatever. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate just the fact that you're on board with this all over the place. Like, just let me talk for time. And yeah, um, not everything that you see is orbs. It's just, it is very dusty in my house. So just gonna put that out there. But some of them were. Can you spot the difference? I don't know. Oh God, stop talking, Charlie. Stop talking. Okay. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. We'll talk soon. Okay. Bye.